Welcome back everyone! So this will be the explanation and tutorial for my fast 6x6 that I showed you quite a long time ago now, finally. So in case you haven't seen it yet, this is how it looks. Closes like this and opens like this, so really fast. Actually one of the fastest 6x6s out there. Of course it's not the fastest one, but it's really compact for the speed. So it's just 1632 blocks for a 1.4 second opening, which is really nice, I think. So yeah, I will be showing you how to build this door and explain each part along the way. But I have one disclaimer, and that is if you really want to follow along and build the door with me, that's fine, but just be super careful, because if you make like one mistake somewhere, like a wrong repeater setting or something, then the whole door will break and that's just not fun. Especially if you need to like rewatch the video a billion times to find the mistake. So if you're planning to build this in survival or something, what I suggest you to do is you just use Lightmatica, and then I will provide a vault download so you can make a schematic and load it up, and what you can do is then just build it up layer by layer, and it will show you any mistakes you make so that basically nothing can go wrong. Alright, but with that said, let's actually start. Okay, so I pulled up the material list here, and I will just scroll down and you can take a screenshot or pause the video or something. So yeah, this is what you will need. Obviously it's quite a lot for the store, but yeah, I don't think it's too bad. It's not like huge. Alright, so that's it. And additionally you will need 2 shovels for 2 of the furnaces. And then also some random junk items that can really be anything. And also these concrete powders here, they can just be any gravity block, so sand or gravel as well. Alright, so your building area will be 6 by 16 blocks. The door will be 17 blocks tall. And your door frame will be 5 blocks above the ground, so you will need to dig down 6 blocks in total. And we will actually start by placing the door frame. So you first find these 2 center blocks here. And we go in 3 blocks from those. Now from this block here we go up another 5, like this, and this will be your floor level. And then we just place in a normal 6x6 frame, like so. And now we can actually start placing in the piston layout. Alright, so we start on this top left side here, with a double extender, and a block in front, a sticky piston below, and then 2 triple extenders like this. And then the same thing but upside down, like so. And now we'll just copy to the other side, like so. Block, piston, 2 triples, and then pistons like this in the block in front. And now we'll also need pistons like this in these corners here, like so. And on top of these here we will need hoppers, so that these pistons here, they will get powered at certain points. And if you wouldn't have this, they could push up this whole row here and it would break. Alright, so next up we place in our triples here in the corners. So 1 triple here, 1 triple like this. Then repeat the same thing on top, like so, and like so. So it should look like this. And now we place in our hipsters here. And these will be on the long side. So as you can see, one side will have 2 additional blocks, and the other side has 3. And you place the hipsters here on the side that has 3 blocks. Alright, so 4 pistons, storage blocks. Then on top here we will have just 4 triples, like so. And now these bottom hipsters here will actually be folded. So we will have storage pistons here, then another set of storage pistons here, with pistons in front facing up, and then blocks above. And then we will just have another 8 pistons like this in between these triples here. Alright, so that's already the layout. So basically the same as my other 6x6, just different bottom hipsters. And now we need some additional things to power certain pistons. So we need a normal piston here, a sticky piston in front, a glass block here, and an observer. So this will 0 tick up this observer here, so that will be here, and power this triple. So it will be like this, and then power this piston here. And we need a sticky piston here because we need to teleport the block. And normal pistons can zero tick, but they won't teleport the block, so that's why we need the sticky piston here. Now same thing here, obviously. And now to push it back down, we will just have normal pistons right here. Alright, now for the blocks in between, I will use glass so that we can actually see things. But obviously you can use whatever you want. Now just in these inner ones here, you want these 4 middle blocks here to be solid, because they need to be able to power things. Alright, so we need one more thing on the back side here, which is a double extender with an observer and block. Let's take a piston like this. And the same thing on this side here, like so. And this is for powering these pistons right here, right? So we push this out, the power, and then we just pull back the block. Alright, so if you want to know how this layout works, you can watch my other 3x6 video, because I explain it in detail there. But I will just show the bottom hipster sequence, because that's the only thing that changed really. Alright, so the closing, push in this block, and this bottom here pushes up, this gets inserted, and then this extends. And for the opening, this will retract, and then gets put to the side. And this block gets retracted, and then we do the same thing again basically. Then we push this above, push it up. Now we can power this piston here through this block, like so. And then we just retract the rest normally, like so. And that's the bottom sequence. And this is basically what allowed the store to be way faster than the other one. Alright, so that's the layout, and we can move on to the input line. Alright, so the input line is nothing special, but we just need it first so we can actually reach all parts of the door. So we start off by placing 6 blocks in the middle on the very bottom, right here. Dust on top, and then your lever can be here. And now from this we go up 1 block, 2 down, and then a slab, dust on top. And now this will go into an instant repeater, so a block right here, sticky piston, redstone block, and then a sticky piston below like this. And this is useful because it gets rid of the input bug, and it also allows the signal to reach far enough. So now we'll have 2 blocks like this, and then we go up a slab right here. And now we'll just start a little slab staircase, and right here we will place a hopper. And now we just continue to go up, like so. And right here we will place a block like this, then a hopper like this, an observer facing down, and then just 2 blocks like this. And this block right here will be part of another instant repeater, so piston on top, redstone block, and then piston below like this. And this will go onto a lamp, then down to an observer pointing to the right, up onto a slab, and then a block right here. And now we'll just place dust on top, like so. And we'll also place 2 blocks here where this double extender is, and dust on top. Right now for the right side, it's basically the same, just with one small difference. So go up a block, down again, and place 2 blocks, slab, then a block with our instant repeater, which we place like this, 2 blocks, and now we start the slab staircase, so. If you can get it, alright. Now we have our hopper, so we have 2 slabs, hopper, and then this pattern will basically repeat. Just that here we will have a block, our hopper, observer pointing down, block, and then a target block, and that's the only difference. And now just the instant repeater again, like so. Lamp, observer pointing to the left, up onto a slab, and a block. Now we just place dust everywhere, like this. And 2 blocks here where the double is, dust on top. And if you flick the lever, everything should turn on instantly, like this. Alright, and that's already the input line done. And I guess we can move on to these doubles and singles. Okay, so before we actually start wiring this here, we need some immovable blocks right here and right here, which we'll need when we test this part here. And we also want redstone blocks right here and right here, so the slabs don't get powered and interfere. Alright, so this will be the light blue circuit, but we actually start off placing a grey terracotta right here with a scaffolding on top. And this is part of the hipster circuit for this here, but we need it right now so we can place this dust, so that we can continue this. Alright, so first we need to power this piston here, and also need to power here. So this piston is really easy, just target block like this. And now we need a furnace, which we place right here next to scaffolding, observer in front, up onto a slab and a block, down a slab like this, and then observer here, and just dust on top. And this should do the extension, so let's test it. Extends, and it starts to retract. So now we finished the double. And this is actually interesting because it needs to be as fast as possible, which means this needs to retract at 3 game ticks, and this is 6 game ticks. So for this piston here, we will have a piston right here with a block on top and a gravity block on top of that block. And to power the piston, we will have a slab right here and dust on top. And this will push up, and then we power the concrete powder with this comparator right here. And this will power this piston. And now to turn the comparator on, we just place the item in the furnace. Alright, and when this falls down, it will be the perfect delay, so that this retracts as early as possible at 3 game ticks. And now for a last retraction here, we will power this piston here through this block, and then just push it away at the right time. Alright, so to power the block, we will need some blocks first, so we can place stuff. So, target block here, trapdoor next to that, and scaffolding on top. Then observer point to the left. And now we can place a repeater like this, and a comparator like so. And now we power this repeater and place an item in this hopper here, which will power the comparator and that locks the repeater, so it will always be powered on. Alright, now to power this piston here, we will simply place a node block right here, dust on top, and then observer coming out around the corner into the piston like so. And that should be a double extender, so let's test it. Alright, looks good. So now for these singles here, the bottom one is really simple. We just place a piston right here, which will be powered by this block up here, and then into a observer like so. And because of update order, when this pushes up, it will always be getting updated by this block arriving later than this block. And then on the opening, it will be like this. So when this unpowers here, the piston head will get updated, which makes it retract. Alright, so now we need to power this line here again, for which we'll use this observer. And to power this, we'll come down here, observer right here, dust on top, and then a target block right here, sticky piston on top of that, a redstone block in front, and then just 2 observers. And I will just put back this block. Now I can give the test. So that's what you want to see. This little here gets spat out again, and you should see this piston here briefly powering. So let me show you again, like this. Alright, so let's move on to the top part here, which has the same timings, just different wiring. So we start off with a target block right here, then a normal piston here to upfit this piston. Now we need a slab right here, and then we go up a slab again into a block. And this will already be the extension for the double and for this piston right here. Now for the retraction, we'll use a similar trick with the falling sand. So piston here, glass block on top, our gravity block on top of that. And now to power it, we'll have observer here, pointing up, a comparator on top, like so, and then an item in this hopper. Alright, now for the last retraction here, we will have this sticky piston, which will push and pull this redstone block here. And then to update this piston, we'll just have this node block here. And to power this piston here, we come out from this observer with 2 more, like this. Alright, so now we just need the singles. And the top one is really easy, just this observer here. And now for this one here, coming out from this observer we placed earlier, we just place another 2 like this. Then a sticky piston here, which will update this. Alright, so let's test it. It already work. Alright, so that's the same thing as the bottom, and that's what you want. Okay, so let me just quickly repeat this on the other side. So, gray terracotta here, scaffolding on top. Now let me get the furnace, like this, observer, our slab up onto the block, down again, and then observer like this. Now we just place dust, and also the target block right here. Alright, now sticky piston here, slab here with dust to power it, and let me just grab some things here. A block here, concrete powder, another block here, comparator, and then an item inside of this furnace here. like so. Now for the final retraction, we have this piston here and this block. Target block here, and then trapdoor, 2 scaffoldings, our observer, a comparator, and repeater which we power, and then item inside of this hopper here. Alright, now we just need to power this piston with the snow block here, dust on top, and then observers like so. And now we just need these singles here. So piston here, observer into this piston, and down here we have the observer, dust on top, into a target block with the sticky piston, redstone block, and then just break the dust, place 2 observers and replace it. Alright, so let's give it a test. Should do the same as the other side, like this. Looks good. So let's just do this top one here, and then we're actually already done with this part. So target block here. Normal piston right here. 2 slabs like this, a block, dust on top, like so. Sticky piston with a glass block. Concrete powder or gravity block on top. Also facing up from this dust here. Comparator and then an item in this, so that this is turned on. And for the final retraction, redstone block here, note block here, sticky piston and 2 observers like so. Now for the singles, we'll have this observer and also these 2, and then the sticky piston. Alright, so this should be the light blue circuit done. Let's test it. Should see the same thing on all 4 sides, so yeah, looks good. Alright, so that's that, and we can move on to the bottom triples now. Okay, so these triples here will be the white circuit, but before we actually start wiring it, we will just quickly block off the sides like so. And we will just do this here so that we don't need to reset this every time that we test these triples here. Alright, but what we need to do first is power these 2 pistons here at 3 ticks on the closing, and then unpower them at 8 ticks on the opening. And to do this, we will use these 2 blocks here below, then 4 blocks in the middle, then repeaters on 2 ticks pointing into the blocks and dust in between. And to power this dust, we will use a slider. So we will place a normal piston underneath this target block here, then 3 glass blocks, a redstone block, another 3 glass blocks, and then a return piston like so. So this will instantly push over, and it means that these pistons here power at 3 ticks. And now to unpower it, we just simply power this piston here. Alright, now to power this, we will place a grey terracotta below this here. And this is grey because this is also used for these hipsters here. But for now, we will just branch off of it with this hopper, into an observer, into a block, another hopper, and 3 observers, 1 more hopper, 1 more observer, and then this block here to power the piston. And since this here is permanently extended on the closing, this won't be able to push when the door is closed, and will only be able to push this over on the opening. Alright, so that should be the closing done. So these pistons here are already done. And next up, we need to power this piston right here when we open the door instantly. And what we are going to do is we'll actually pre-power it, but it won't be able to do anything on the closing because this will be extended, and this, and then there are blocks in between here. And so we power this and it can't push because this blocks it. And on the opening, these blocks here will be removed, and then we update this piston, and that is what will make it extend. Oops. Alright, so let me just quickly reset this like so. And now we can wire this. Right, so the input for this will be this observer here facing up, dust on top, and then we need to redirect it with this trap chest here. And the same thing on this side here, like so. Alright, and then to power this dust here, it's actually really easy. You just place 2 blocks here, repeaters on 2 ticks, on 3 ticks on top, coming off this target block here, and then just a block like there. Alright, so same thing here, 3 blocks like so, 2 repeaters on 3 ticks each pointing into it. Alright, so this will also almost make it retract at the correct time. We just need to extend this pulse here by 1 more game tick. And for that we will just power this observer at the correct timing. And to get this timing, we'll branch off of this piston right here, with two observers going down, one over, and then a hopper below this observer. And same thing here, just like this. Alright, so we place immovable blocks here now. This should work, but we still need to update these pistons here. And for that, we have this piston here conveniently with the resonant block. So all we need to do is just place a normal piston here and a normal piston here. And if you remove these blocks here now, these should extend. Yeah, just like this. And as you can see, this is also retracted. So now we just need to power this piston up here 2 times. And then we need to finish the retraction. Alright, so to power this piston here, we'll be using these sliders here. So on the opening, we will zero tick this observer here upwards instantly for the first pulse. And by the way, this will be powered through this block here. So it first gets retracted, and then this observer will be here and powers it. And then the second time, we will push up these blocks here, which powers the observer again. And then we push down the observer the correct timing, and it will zero tick this. And the reason it needs to be a zero tick is because basically we power this at 5 ticks. And 5 ticks is the earliest time that this piston here will have retracted. So yeah, we need to zero tick it because that's also the timing when the sides need to extend. Alright, so let's fill this in again and get to this. Alright, so let's first do the control for these 2 pistons here so that we don't need this resonant block here anymore. And for that, we will branch off of a part of the light gray circuit. So we just place 2 blocks like this, right here. 1 tick repeater on this, and then let me grab these blocks here. A torch on the side, then an observer right here, into a hopper, like so. Then a block on top of these 2 pistons, and we just run 2 repeaters on 4 ticks into this. And now we just repeat the same here, like so. And then the observer here into the hopper block, and then 2 repeaters on 4 ticks. Alright, so believe it or not, we actually almost have the instant zero tick for this here. And everything we need will just be this slab, this hopper, and then 2 pieces of dust. And on this side, we will just place 2 slabs like so. Alright, so let me explain this. On the closing, this piston here will get powered by these 2 resonant blocks here. So this resonant block powers this piston, and this resonant block powers this piston here from below. But it can't extend because this is still powered. And then it unpowers, and on the opening, this dust here will instantly turn off, or later it will instantly change thickness strength. And dust can actually update stuff from 2 blocks away. So this means it instantly updates this piston here, and it realizes it can extend. And then 2 microticks later, this piston here will retract. So it unpowers again, and this will make a zero tick. Alright, so that should be the first pulse. We can test it, I guess, so just place blocks here, the lever, and then we just remove these blocks again. So these should be teleported up instantly. Let's see. Yeah, just like this. And now for a second pulse, we need to power these pistons here, and then power these. Alright, so these pistons here are really easy. Just come diagonally down from this furnace here, place 2 observers like so, and then a repeater on 2 ticks on top, and the same thing on this side here. So just like this. And now to create a zero tick, we need to power this piston here, and we need to power it from this block here, and then we need to add a micro tick, which will come from this piston. And same thing here, like so. Alright, now to power this, we will be using observers like so. Same thing here. And these observers will be activated by some rails which we place on top. So 2 blocks like this, and then just 4 rails. And now to activate these rails here, we will place a light red terracotta here, then a pink terracotta like so. Repeater on 2 ticks like this, so it gets followed by the dust here, and then this observer. So the color coding is a bit confusing here, but it's just because basically 3 circuits are intersecting here, so yeah, I think it's still fine, so shouldn't be too confusing. Alright, so this will power these pistons here. And now all we need to do is power these pistons here a little bit earlier than this repeater here, because otherwise it will mess up. So for that we will actually be using the input line of these pistons here and just branch off that. Alright, so we will place hoppers on these outer pistons here, slabs in between, and then just dust on top. And then we will have observers here which power these and get updated by these here. Alright, now to power this, you'll place an observer here, 3-tick repeater on top, then terracotta here, 3-tick on top, and then just a slab with dust. Alright, so now we should see these pistons when they are here, power 2 times. Alright, so let's place these blocks here, activate this. Now we can actually just swap these two here, like so. So that will get pushed up and then pulled back down again. Alright, so all we need now is to do this retraction here, like so. And then we will just have a double pulse in this line, like this. And that will already be these bottom triples done. Alright, so to power the pistons right here, we'll power them through the floor blocks, like so. And to get the signal here, it's really easy. 2 sticky pistons like this, blocks on them, then observers like so, with normal pistons on top, and then observers below the floor. Okay, so now we just need a double pulse here, and this is the only part where the two sides have a small difference, and that is just because later there will be wiring right here for these hipsters, and we just need to have it different because it will interfere otherwise. Okay, so on this side what we'll do is we place a sticky piston right here, so next to the slab, then observer here, into a block, a normal piston like so, 2 observers like this, and by the way the piston will be what gives us a double pulse here, and this will go into a block with a rail on top like so, and then into an observer, so this powers this block here and powers the dust. Alright, so this side, same thing basically, but we will just be branching off directly this piston here, and we will do it like so, then an activator rail, and one more observer, and this should be the entire bottom hipsters, bottom triples, sorry. So let's test it, swap these 2 blocks, and now we should see the full retraction. Alright, nice. So now we can move on to the top triples. Alright, so before we wire this, let's just block off these bottom triples here so they don't get annoying. But yeah, so these top triples here are actually much simpler than the bottom ones, because in order to power these pistons here, we don't need any sliders or anything. We can just use QC and power the ceiling here, and then use the middle pistons to update these here below. Alright, so this will be the light gray circuit, and again we will start by powering these back pistons here at 3 ticks. So we come here, place a block, and then a repeater on 3 ticks on top, like so. Piece of dust, and then this will power this. And this side is almost the same, block, but now we need a slab here, which is important for later. And then 3-tick repeater and a dust. Alright, now to extend these pistons here on the opening, we will use basically the same content as in the bottom. So they will be powered, but they don't notice they can extend. That wasn't good. Let's try it like so. I guess we can try it like this. Alright, so they need an update, and then same thing as in the bottom. Alright, so to power them, we'll have this repeater here, and this repeater, 2 slabs in between, and then we will just have dust here. But right now this will power too early, and what we'll do is we'll just lock this repeater, so it activates later. And it's really easy, just a slab here, and then repeater on 1 tick to lock it. And now we just repeat the same thing here. So 2 slabs like this, 2 repeaters on 1 tick, dust, and then a slab and another repeater. Alright, so this should be the closing done. And also start with the opening. Now we need the updaters here. So what we'll do is we place a slab and then a red block here, dust on top, this piston with redstone block, and then this piston right here. And this is what we will update it. And on the other side we will use the ceiling blocks here with dust on top, and this goes into a target block, and then another piston like this. Alright, so now we need to pulse these pistons here 2 times. And for that we will just use the sealing again. So let's just extend these blocks like so. And just place dust on every single one. Alright, so this observer here already does the second pulse and replaces earlier already. So we just need the first pulse, for which we'll use this node block here. And this observer, like so. And this is also the reason we have the slab here, so that this doesn't get powered by this dust here. Alright, so that's the first 2 pulses, and we can test the closing. But before we test it, we need to remove this observer here, because it would mess up the closing right now, because we don't have the sides yet. Or rather, the sides are blocked. Alright, so let's test it. Should close, looks good. DC extended. Now we can place back our observer right here. And then we can swap these 2 blocks again, just like we did in the bottom, and test it. Alright, so now we just need to power these pistons again, so they pull the blocks here. Then we'll power this line here to power these blocks, and power this piston. And then we just give a double pulse to this line here, like so. Now if I can get it, like this, and that should be it. So this is just a matter of getting the timings in, and nothing special really going on. Alright, so to power this piston here for the first time, we'll branch off of this repeater here with 2 observers like so. 2 rails on top, and then just a block right here. Alright, repeat this on this side here, like so. And a block below. Alright, next up we need to power this line here. And that's really easy, we will just place this observer here and that's it. The server will detect this dust here turning off, and that will be the correct timing. Alright, so now we just need to power this piston and double pulse this line here. And for this we need some odd game tick delays, and that will come from this normal piston here. So this will get powered after 3 game ticks because of this redstone block here. And now we will just have this observer here into 2 repeaters on 2 ticks each. Then an observer like this, and a block here, which powers this piston here, so we need to update it. And for that we'll use this rail here. And this rail here will be temporary because later on it will get updated by these triples here. But for now we need it, sadly. And now for our double pulse, we will just have a normal piston like this. And just 1 observer going down. And that's it. So let's repeat this on this on the other side here, like so. Observer, 2 blocks like this, 2 repeaters and 2 ticks. Observer here, block, our temporary rail here, and then just this piston here, and observer going down. And that should be the entire trip is on the top already done. So really easy, let's test it. So 2 blocks here, then remove this observer, flick the lever, now place back the observer, and now we can swap these 2 blocks. And now we should see that these blocks get pushed here, and then it gets retracted all the way into the ceiling. Alright, so let's test it. Alright, that's it. Nice. So now we can move on to these side triples. Alright, so let's first block off these helper triples here on top, like so. And then we can replace this block and this block with a normal block. And also make sure that this block right here is a solid block. I accidentally replaced it with a glass earlier, but yeah, these 4 middle blocks here need to be solid. Alright, so the first thing we need to do in the closing is just power these back pistons here, which will be done with a comparator, which will be on top of this observer here, like so. And to power it, we will just push down this cauldron here, which is filled with water, this piston here, and then later to push it up, we will just use this piston. Right now to power this, we have observer facing down, next to this gravity block here. Then we need a repeater on the 3 ticks on top, and then just a block with dust, like so. And that is the whole closing. Alright, now for the opening, first thing we need to do is we power these 2 pistons here, so they can grab these blocks here, after these blocks in front have been removed. Alright, now to power them, we will be using this observer, and also this observer here. So basically this block here gets powered, and this block, so that this piston is spidered through this, and then the piston below will update through this block here. Alright, so to activate this observer here, we will use this hopper in the middle here. And then for this observer, we just have this hopper and a rail on top. Now for this here, we first need to place an observer right here. Like so, pointing into these middle pistons of the triple. which will also be the input for those, but for now we just place this rail on top, an observer pointing into the rail, and then finally to upload this observer here, what we'll do is we will continue the slab staircase here, like so, and 3 dust on top, and then this dust here will power this hopper. Alright, so we can test this right now, I guess, so it should push out, and these blocks here will be pushed away, just like so. Alright, so let's reset this, so push this up here, and just reset this like so. And what's nice about this, because these back pistons here are permanently powered, basically when we have the blocks in between, like so. So it will be like this, I guess, or I guess like this. So the other side also is permanently extended. So this piston can only power once the blocks in front have been removed, which will be done by these helper triples here, like so. Which means only then can this extend. And this is useful because since this strip here is quite late in the tick, because it's abutted, it could happen otherwise that instead of this block here being moved here and this being moved here, both of them would just get pushed over like this. And of course we don't want that. And yeah, by permanently powering these back pistons here, we just prevent that. Alright, but next up we need to power this line here, so this dust here, block up this dust at 5 ticks with a 0 tick, so that the pistons will be pushed here and can grab these middle blocks like so. Alright, so how do we power this? Well, we have this sticky piston right here, and then we have a glass block here, redstone block on top, and then a sticky piston facing down. This will be a 0 tick generator. So what we'll have is power down, and then we have this normal piston here facing down below this block next to the sticky here, and this updates this so it retracts, and this is just a 0 tick repeater, basically 0 tick generator, and yeah, that's how we do it. So to power this now, we will just branch off this lamp here, which is placed in the beginning. So observer going down, activates this one here, and then just a block here, and update a piston like so. So we can test it, so what we should see is these blocks here get pushed away, and then pistons will be teleported to this spot here. So let's see that. Just like this. Alright, so next up we need to use this thing here, so that we power these pistons here, so they can actually grab these blocks here. Alright, so again let me reset this. So it's good. Alright. So what we'll do is this observer here, which we placed earlier, we place a block behind, a lamp on top, observer going up, 2 blocks like this and a dust here, and this will power this piston here to activate twice because we have a lamp here, and this will power these pistons here. Next up we need to retract this observer down here, which will run through this observer here, below this piston, and then a 4 tick repeater behind. So it's now here, and then we can just power this piston here, which pushes this piston here. We power this piston so the block gets pushed here, and we power this piston one more time so it ends up again here. Alright, so this is actually pretty easy. We just need this block and this slab here. And the slab is just so that this observer here doesn't power this dust and it would just clock. Alright, so repeater on 3 ticks here, and then a repeater on 4 ticks. The observer going up. Now we'll have a node block on top of this piston here, which will update it when we power this block here. And it's also useful because now we can place this observer here, and this observer powers this piston right there. Alright, so that's it. And we don't need any toggles or anything, because this piston right here actually already is our toggle, because on the closing, we just push down, and the piston arm will just prevent anything from happening, so no matter what we do here, nothing happens. So yeah, that's quite nice. Alright, so let's test this, I guess. So, the lever, and we can put these blocks right here. And what we should see is these pistons here power once, and then these blocks here will be moved up until here. Alright, let's test it. Alright, just like this. So now we need to power these pistons here again, which will again be done through this line here. So let me reset, and then we put that in. Like so. And the way you power this again is by oops, not like this. Okay, like so. Coming down from this hopper here with 2 observers. and then we placed this observer here earlier, which will get activated by this repeater here. The repeater will get activated by this piston here, pulling back this observer. Alright, so next up we need to power this wall input here again, and that will be where it gets a little bit interesting. So this needs to be powered at 8 ticks, which means that this hopper here and this rail need to be powered at 6. So this rail is really easy, just observer on top facing down and one more rail. Now on this top one here we have a problem, because this redstone block will be here at 5 ticks, so it powers this here too early, which would just mess it up. And how do we get around that? Well, what we will do is we will place this sticky piston here, redstone block, 2 glass blocks, then a gap, and this normal piston here. And what we will do is on the closing, this will just extend, and then on the opening, this will unpower instantly, and this will push down. And this means that this dust here basically receives a negative 1 tick pulse. So after 1 tick, it turns on again, and this means that this observer here will only power 1 time. So nothing will get messed up. And then when this here powers, it doesn't do anything, because this is already powered. And then after this block is no longer here, we can retract this at the correct timing to get this pulse here. Alright, so all we need for this piston now are these 2 blocks here, then a slab right here, dust on the slab, and we come back here and place a repeater right here on 1 tick, and this will be powered by this redstone block here. And then to power the piston finally, repeater on 2 ticks. Alright, so let's see that in action, I guess. So put these blocks in the middle like so, and see what happens. Alright, nice. So now all we need is to retract the triple extender, and this is just observer spam basically for the correct timings. So first thing we need to do is power this piston here at the correct timing. So what we do is we come in here, where this normal piston here is next to the gravity block. We place an observer like this, and pull up like so, with a rail on top. And we go left into this hopper here which we placed earlier. One repeater like this, one up, and then a dust here. And then I guess we can just replace this so it pushes up. So now we just need to power these pistons here. So these pistons end up here, and then power these. Alright, so to power them, we will come out from the observer here into the slab. And we just place 3 observers going up like so. And that is it. Now for the final pulse, we will power this hopper here one more time. And for that we branch off of this piston here. So let's just break this slab here so we can place stuff. Go in here and place an observer next to this one facing down. Another one, and then a block here. That powers this hopper here, and that goes into the dust line down there. Alright, so replace this. And that should be the triple done. So let's see. So this will push out on the closing, doesn't matter. Just fix it like so. And now we should see this piston firing once. And then these blocks should get retracted all the way into the wall. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, just like that. Alright, so let's quickly repeat that on this side here. So, observer here. And let me just grab the correct blocks here. Like this, I guess, and also this. Then our comparator here. Piston next to this observer. Cauldron here with water. And piston going down. Now we place our observer going down right here. Repeater on 3 ticks, and then just a block with dust. Alright, so next up we have this wall input here. Like so. Let me just get this hopper here. To place right here in the middle. And then one next to this node block here with a rail on top, like so. Now for this here, again, observer pointing into these 2 middle pistons of the triple, like so. Rail on top, and then observer pointing into the rail from the front, like this. And now the slab staircase, like so. Dust on top, and then our hopper, like so. Alright, now next up we need the 0 tick, so dust here. Block up with dust. And then sticky piston here. And now a piston next to it. And then glass block here, redstone block. And then sticky piston going down. Observer under the lamp, into a block, and then now up with a piston. Alright, next up we need this observer pusher thing. So block here into a lamp for the double pulse, observer, 2 blocks like so, dust here to power this piston, then observer and a repeater on 4 ticks, so this gets pulled down. By the way, the reason that we don't just do this is because using the observer will make this repeater here turn off 1 tick later. And it's really important because when this pulls down, it powers this block here, right? And if it was a 1 tick earlier, it would mess up the triple here. But by delaying it with this observer here, it's fine. Alright, so next up, slab here, block, repeat on 4 ticks, repeat on 3 ticks, up into an observer, and then we need our up beta no block here, block, and this observer here. And that's the pusher done. So now we need to power this dust line here again. So grab some observers here, break these 2 blocks temporarily, and place these 2 like so. Replace this, and we have our sticky piston here, normal block with a 1 tick repeater, and then just this observer here. Oh, and by the way, this piston here will get updated by this piston retracting instantly, so that it can push on as soon as possible. Because technically, when it pushes down, it's blocked, right? But then it gets enough microtick delay from this and this here, so it gets updated and works. Alright, so I guess we put in the wall input now. So observer here, right on top. And now here we can place in this thing here, the slider, like so. Now we just need these 2 blocks here, slab on top of this hopper here, dust on top of that. Then repeater on 1 tick, and repeater on 2 ticks. Alright, so now we just need the retraction, I think. So yeah, just spam observers now. We come in here again, where this normal piston is, go out like so, and then up 2 observers into a rail, and observer like this, and like this, and a dust on top. Right now we need to reach this observer here, which we do like this, and then just place 3 observers going up, so. And now for our last pulse, all we need is to place break this temporarily, place this observer and this observer, a block here, and then we replace it. Alright, so that should be it. I went a bit fast on this side here, but since I explained this side in detail, I think it should be clear. Alright, so let's test it. Looks good. We can put these back here, and we can put these here in the middle. And now I should see both sides working if I didn't forget anything. Alright, nice. So what we can do now is actually test the whole sides together. So we unblock everything, like so. And like this. And now we close the door. And this will happen again. So what we need to do is place these pistons right here. And then blocks in front. And we break these 4 blocks here. So it's basically a big H. And now we should see the sides in the middle working. So let's hope it works. Alright, not quite. What happened? Oh yeah, I accidentally broke some blocks in here. I don't know when that happened. Let's test again. Alright, so like this. And now it should work. Alright, nice. So now we can move into the Hipsters here, but before we do this, let's just block off the whole sides again. Like this. And yeah. Alright, so let's continue with these top Hipsters now. Alright, so these top Hipsters here will be the pink circuit. And we will start off by placing in our inputs here, which will all be on this side. And actually moving the inputs here, on this side here, all of them basically, is one of the reasons that I got it this small here. Because this freed up this space over here to control these sliders here. Because in the earlier version of the door I actually controlled them from this area here. But yeah, that just takes a lot of room, and this way it's just much nicer. Alright, so first up we need 4 ceiling blocks here, repeaters on top. That's one input done. And this is also the reason we have this target block here, because if this was just any other block, then it wouldn't get powered and it wouldn't power the piston here. Right, so next up we have 8 blocks here. Repeaters like this, dust here, and then a target block at the end. And the reason we have a target block and not just dust here is because we want to have observers here later. And if we had the dust here, this observer would power both lines, but when we have a target block here, it will only power this line here. And this way you can just differentiate between the two lines there. Alright, so for these top pistons here, we'll use a slider. So for movable blocks here, observers behind, then a piston here to push them over, then a return piston here. And what we will actually do is we will always push back the slider like so, as soon as possible basically. So we always get a double pulse here in this line. And the reason is that we need to power these pistons here 3 times basically, right? Oh no, let me fix this and then I continue explaining. So we need to power this 3 times, but this would mean that the slider here ends up in the wrong position, right? So what that means is we would have to reset it in the closing or something, which is a bit annoying. But if we just use it like this, the first double pulse actually doesn't matter, because before this piston here, after I push this down, can grab it again, this already powers, so it doesn't do anything. And at the end, the double pulse is exactly what you want, because you wanted to do this basically. And this is just a convenient way of doing it. Alright, but to actually wire it now, first we need to power these storage pistons here. And this is really simple, just this block and this repeater here on 1 tick, and that's it. And since we already placed these 2 repeaters here earlier, we also have the other move for these, so yeah, these are actually done. So now we need to power these pistons here on the closing at 3 ticks. And for that we place this block here on top of this piston. And a dropper facing up. And then 2 observers like so. But we actually want to hard power this line now, so we can actually unpower it the correct timing. And to do this we will have this slab here with dust. And then this block here with a repeater on 2 ticks. And then we have an observer here into a block and then a slab, dust on top. And the slab is just so that this piston doesn't get buttered here from this block. And now what we will have is we will just break this dust here. We'll have this block here, which will get pulled up and pushed down to unpower and power at the correct timing. Alright, so to control this piston here, we will use this target block here. Now we need some scaffolding and a trapdoor, which we place like this, and then just observer here. So it's basically the same thing as will be later here, so you will recognize it later. But basically this activates this piston at 3 game ticks, and that means that these unpower at 5 game ticks, which is the perfect timing for the retraction here basically. Alright, and this observer here will actually also pull up the blocks until this level here, so that the storage can grab them. Alright, so the closing should be done, because this bottom line already is powered by this here, and we can test it now. But the opening, as I just explained, won't fully work, because this here will mess up this pulse. So let's just fix that real quick before we test it. So we'll have a piston here, a cauldron on top with water, of course, like so, and 2 blocks here. Now we need a comparator here, repeat on 3 ticks, then a dropper facing down to another one, like so. So they point into each other, and then we place an item in the bottom one, and this will actually just silence them, which is also really nice. So now if we test this, we should see the closing, and we should see the blocks here being pulled into the storage. Right, these blocks right here will end up right here, just like this. Alright, so let's reset this and finish these. Actually almost done, believe it or not. So now what we need to do is power these here at the correct timing, which is at, what is it? 7 ticks, 7, and then at 8 we power this, and at 9 we power this. Alright, so to power these here at the correct timing, we just place this observer here. And actually these 2 observers here are the correct timing for this line. So all we need now is to power these here at the correct timing, which will come out of this observer here with this block. into a repeater on 2 ticks, and then those around the corner like this, block here, and repeater on 1 tick like so. Alright, so let's test it, and what we should see is that these blocks here will end up here, and of course these blocks in storage. Just like this. Alright, so one interesting thing here basically is these top pistons here. Well, actually, I think this powers at 6 and this at 7 and this at 8, but it doesn't really matter. It's just timing, it's nothing really complicated. Just one thing here, storage pistons here will actually pull away this block here as soon as possible, so that basically as soon as this block here starts retracting, this will already push down. And this we do this using tightening priority. So this repeater here turns off before these here turn on inside the tick. And this is how this works. I will explain it a bit more when we get to this bottom hipsters here, because they rely on it a lot. But yeah. So all we need now is to power this line here, and then we power this line like so, and then we do this double pulse here, and that's it. Alright, so to power this line here, really easy, just observer and a block. Now for this bottom line here, we'll just spam some observers here. So next to the starter block here, we come out from where the piston head will be, like so. Then we go up with 3 observers like this. One more, like so. You place 2 observers like this. Then 1 facing down, 1 out, and then 1 into this block right here. Alright, so if we test it now, it should already open fully. We just need to reset. So it should open like this. And now all we need to do is power this here so that these pistons get reset in the correct positions. Alright, so this is also really easy. Just this observer into a block. Repeater on 4 ticks right here. And a sticky piston, and then this observer here. And this basically just powers this at correct timing here again. Alright, so let's test that, and it should be done. Let's see, closes. And it should open. And it's also reset. Alright, so this was really easy because it's basically just timings, nothing really complicated going on. So yeah, now we can move on to these bottom hipsters, and we are actually done relatively soon. Alright, so the bottom hipsters will be the gray circuit. But before we start with those, let's just remove these 2 rails here that we placed earlier, because they won't be needed anymore when we test it or when we are done. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is power these 4 pistons here for the closing, so that these storage blocks here get pushed in. So to do this, we place this observer here, repeater on top, which powers this block here, then observer right here, which points to the right, dust on top, and then 1 more block right here. So this powers these 3 pistons here, and for the last one we just place 2 blocks like so, and a repeater on 1 tick. Alright, so that powers these 4 pistons, but also powers the ones below, which we don't want. So to prevent this, we will just place 4 immovable blocks right here, and this should prevent them from powering. So next step, we need to power these bottom pistons here at 3 ticks, and then for that we will just place blocks like this, and then just 1 tick repeaters on top. Now to power those, we will just place observers like so, and a slab here, and dust on top. So these will be used later to power this line here, but for now we will come from here and place 2 blocks right here where the slab is, go down with dust, slab here with dust, and the slab is so this piston doesn't get bothered here. Then we go up an observer, dust on top, and then 1 more observer here, and that's the closing for these. Now we need 1 more thing here, and which is to power these pistons when they are pushed up, so they push up the blocks. So blocks right here. Again, repeat it on 1 tick, dust behind, and then dust here. But right now this would power too early, so what we do is we cut this, and then we place this piston here, which gets powered by this here. And this will, remove the block at the correct timing, so it actually doesn't mess up. Alright, so 1 more thing for the closing, and that is to push in these folded pistons here. And for that we need to power these. And they actually are already powered from these here and the dust. So we just need to update them, and that's why we placed these 2 here earlier. So now we can place this block and a repeater on 2 ticks, and this will power the block, the air block behind this one, update this, and this updates the other ones, so they can push it in the correct timing. Alright, so let's test the closing then. Looks good. And as you can see, all of these have pushed in. So now we can move on to the opening. Right, so let me just reset this. And the opening is actually where it gets really interesting, because we will be making heavy use of tightening priority. So let me just explain how it works and what it even is. So just build a little test setup here. So some blocks like this. Power this on. And then we have piston here and then 2 blocks. Alright, so when I flick the lever, what's going to happen is after 1 tick, this here will turn off. And also after 1 tick, this will turn on. So yeah, kind of random. But components that have delay in the game have a certain order in which they do things, like power and unpower. And that's called tilting priority. So repeaters, when they turn off, they have a priority of -2. And when they turn on, they have a priority of -1. And observers always have a priority of 0. And what this means is that within the game tick, this will turn off before this turns on. And in turn, this means that this will retract before this powers. And when I flick the lever now, what's going to happen is this. So as soon as this retracts, this powers and can already retract the block. So in a sense, this is almost like a budget 0 tick chain, just a bit slower. But it's really useful because in the store, what we'll actually end up having is kind of a situation like this. So this piston here will be the piston right here, which retracts the first blocks. And then what we do is it retracts, and then afterwards we do this. And then we do the same thing again when we pull it down 1 block further. So same thing, just like this. And also when we retract this, we can already push this over, and then do the rest of the sequence. And this is basically what saves so much time at this bottom. Alright, but let's actually wire that in. So the first one we need to do is retract these pistons here after 5 game ticks. So to do this, we just keep this dust line here on for 3, and then this gives another 2, so it's the correct timing. So to power this, we place a block here, and a comparator on top, and now we need a furnace, and the shovels which I talked about in the beginning. So furnace right here, shovel inside, and then this will power a block which gets pushed up and down, or rather pulled and pushed up and down, which will get powered by this here. So let's now control this here. So trapdoor, which goes right here. Scaffolding on top, which activates this observer here. And now to power the trapdoor, we just place a slab here, block like this, and 2 dust. Alright. And this will power this piston here, which controls the block through which this dust line gets powered. Alright, so let's repeat the same thing here. Like this. And let me grab the furnace as well. Like so. Shovel inside. And then trapdoor, which placed right here. Scaffolding on top. And a slab, a block, 2 dust. And then our piston right here, facing down, and a block like this. Alright, so also at 5 game ticks, we will want to power these repeaters. Or rather, power them at 3 and then turn on at 5. And because of tilting priority, which I explained earlier, these here will retract before these get powered. Right, so now to reach this line, we will be using observer. And the observer will be controlled by this little thing here. So we will have a piston with redstone block, then trapdoor here, 2 scaffoldings and 1 observer. Alright, so this is actually quite cool because when you extend this, the redstone block actually supports the scaffolding. So if you would just power the trapdoor here, then it would break. But yeah, the redstone block actually supports this, which is quite useful. Now to power this, we will actually just power this block here. Then it will go up onto a slab, observer, and then 3 dust. Alright, so this has one more useful thing, and this is that since it needs time to arrive and power this, we get 2 game ticks of extra delay on the closing. And this is perfect because this makes these bottom pistons here be able to extend. Because otherwise these here would power before these ones on the closing, which we don't want. But this way it works out just perfectly. Alright, so that's the first retraction done on the opening. And now for the second one, we want to retract these pistons here at 5 redstone ticks or 10 game ticks. So to power these, we will have 2 blocks here in the middle. We go down 1 block with dust. Go up 1 block and also place dust. So if you click on this piston here, it will place the dust on top of this block. And now we just cut this, and this will power these 2 pistons here. And we'll just repeat the same thing on this side, like so. And that's it. Alright, now to power this, we will need some blocks. So piston, cauldron, and then some other blocks here. So let's just break this so we can get in here. And then this block here, so 1 block before the slab, place a piston, the cauldron, and then we fill it with water. Place a block next to the cauldron. We come in here, place an observer facing down. Now we place a comparator and a repeater on 4 ticks, and that's the correct timing. And don't forget to replace this block here. Right now, same thing on this side here, like so. Block next to it, break this, come in, place this, replace this, and then just a comparator and repeater on 4 ticks and replace this block. Alright, so now we also want to power these here at the same time as the back ones here retract. And for that we will be branching off of this trapdoor here, so observer into a block, into a hopper, then we just break this dust here for now, place 2 observers, and then we can replace it. Alright, so let's give it a test right now. What we should see is that after I close this, you should see these blocks here just get retracted super fast downwards. So, like this. Alright, so next time we need to power these pistons here so that these will get pushed up, pushed over like so. And then we need to power this line here again so that everything gets pushed up. Alright, so let me reset this and then we can wire that in. So. Alright, so what we do is we come here next to this block here and place a normal piston. And then actually we break in here again. Then from this piston we go up observers like this, 3 observers. We go one to the side, place a block and replace this. And on this side we still need a block here because we haven't placed it yet. And then this piston here. And by the way, this piston is also the reason that it's a slab here. Side note. Then again, 3 observers, and 1 inwards. Then block here and block here. Alright, so as you might have noticed, there's a piston, so we'll get a double pulse here. And this is really useful because the first pulse will push over the pistons, and the second pulse will pull out these blocks here. So if we test this right now, we should see these blocks here end up in the storage. So let's see what happens. Of course, we still need to power this line before this will work. So let's just do it. So this is really easy, just break this, place 2 more observers coming out of this, and replace it. Alright, so let's see this again. This time it should work. So, just like this. And as you can see, these blocks here are right here for a brief moment. And this is where we'll power these repeaters here, so that these pistons grab the blocks. Then we simply give some more pulse in this line to retract this. And then we are almost done actually. Alright, so let's get these pulses into this line then. So let's first break this dust here. And then we place 2 repeaters, set this one to 2 and this one to 3. And replace this dust here. So this will give us 2 pulses here. And the first one we actually need to make it a little bit longer. And the way we do this is by coming here. Repeater on 2 ticks into a block. And then we need a rail to place on top of the block. And then we just place 3 observers like this. And that should be the retraction for these blocks here. So let's see that. So just like this. So now all we need to do is we remove the pistons underneath of these here, so these ones, by pulling them back in here. And then we just pull these ones down to here. And that should be the bottom hipsters then. Alright, so to power these back pistons here, we will use these observers we placed earlier. So come in here, place another one going down. And then we just place 3 more going in like this. And then 1 going up. And now just repeat the same thing on this side. Like so. And up like this. Alright, so now we just need 1 more pulse here to reset this. And this is really easy. It's just a long delay basically. So 2 observers like this, with 2 repeaters on top, and set both to 3 ticks. Then 1 more observer. Now a hopper, observer, hopper. Break this dust here, 1 more observer, and replace the dust. And that should be the bottom hipsters done. So let's test this right now. And we should see it working. So fully synced with the top of course. And it's also reset. Alright, so now we can actually test the whole door. So let's just break all of these blocks here and replace them with the door blocks. Then we can give it a test, and hopefully I didn't forget anything. So let's close it. Looks good. And let's hope the opening works. Yeah, it works. Alright, nice. So now we can fill in our door frame here. Like so. And we can also replace these blocks here. Just normal blocks, like so. Also fill in this hole here, and on the back side as well, like so. Then we can give it one more test, but it should all be fine. So let's test it one more time here. Closes, and it opens. Alright, so that's it, but I just have a few more closing statements and then the video is done. Alright, so congratulations on making it this far. You should now have a working 6x6 door. There are just a few more things I need to point out to you, and the first thing is regarding these blocks here in the hallway. And if you want to change the blocks and decorate the hallway to make it look nice, you need to be careful about a few blocks, and that is these two blocks here. Let me just replace the dust. So these two blocks need to be solid so that they can power these pistons here with QC. And also these two blocks need to be solid above these observers here so they can power these pistons here. Alright, so next up, the blocks in front of the observer pushers here need to be solid and movable so they can be pushed out and power stuff. So these are pistons here. And also these 4 blocks in the sliders here also need to be solid and movable. And then the blocks around them, they just need to be movable. So these 8 blocks here, any movable block, you could even use glass, just yeah, doesn't matter. Just has to be movable. Alright, so if you pay attention to these blocks here when you change the hallway, you should be fine. Alright, so if you connect the door to anything, I suggest you power it through one of these 4 blocks here. And the important part is that you power it with thickness strength 15. And the reason is that if it's too low, something like, I don't know, 5. Well, I mean 5 wouldn't work because it wouldn't reach this far, but let's say it's too low, then this dust here won't change thickness strength and it won't update this piston here, and then the door breaks. And as always, the best option to connect it is just with an instant repeater like so. And then you can just hook it up to anywhere you want like this. Alright, so if the door for some reason isn't working for you, please, before you make a comment and complain, make sure you rewatch the video and really pay close attention to what you're doing and what you might have missed. You could even make a Litematica file and yeah, compare it to your door and see if you made a mistake, because I tested the door a lot with a randomized update order in all 4 directions, and I'm 100% certain it's not directional and not locational. It is yeah, fully reliable, so if it doesn't work, then most likely you made a mistake along the way somewhere. And if you do have to make a comment, it's fine, I guess, but please just describe your problem really carefully, because if you make a comment like, I don't know, button hipsters don't work, then I really can't help you. So just describe which part isn't working exactly, and maybe I might be able to help you. But yeah. Alright, so I hope my explanation made somewhat sense. I didn't go into too much detail in most parts, just a few. So like these hipsters here, the static priority, or the style trick here. But yeah, I think I need to explain like timings, like, I don't know, this piston needs to retract at 15 ticks or something, because yeah, nothing really added there of value. It's just timings, so yeah, it's really self-explanatory, I guess. But yeah, I hope you had fun watching the video, following along and building the door. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.